Hello. So today I wanted to come back on a basic concept that you usually get into pretty early in your coding days, the try and accept statement, and with something as a variable statements that you're going to usually see in some kind of a code tutorial or learn pretty quickly. And I wanted to dig into that and share with you guys the results of those hours of research. So let's get with the basic example that you can see in the Python documentation, which is, I think, very clear. So let's go with a basic code that's just like, let's input two numbers and divide them. Okay, what's gonna happen? If we do that, then we're gonna choose like, I don't know, 4, and we're gonna divide it by 2, and we obviously get the result, which is 2. Simple enough, right? But end users are not gonna be that logical. End users are gonna do crazy stuff like pressing the key A and be like, yeah, I want to divide A, and your Python's gonna be like, dude, no, please, don't do that. And obviously, if this is within a bigger code, it's going to stop your code right there, raising the value error that you can see here with my French OS just telling you stuff. Sorry. And then you can also have someone that like really doesn't like math at all, and is gonna be like, I want to divide 2 by 0. And obviously you're gonna raise the 0 division error because, like, please don't destroy the world and divide by 0. So what we're gonna do is maybe use a try and accept statement for this part of our code. How does that work? Well, your try and accept statement is a statement that is going to put within the try keyword everything that could raise an error. Every calculation, complex or algorithms, and anything that could have any problem. Then in the accept method, your keyword, you're going to identify errors that you want to handle and what to do when those errors happen. And this is important because you could be using the accept keyword with nothing after it, just to be like, I don't care, I want to continue. Maybe for a small project, maybe to script something for you that needs to go fast. But in a bigger project, this is easily going to be overrunning bigger issues and maybe cause problems that you won't be able to identify later. So using the proper error is recommended and is what you mostly want to do. So how do we know what those errors are? Well, we could see it before, right? It's right here, value error, 0 division error. This is what is called. So you just have to put them in there and use them as you go. You could technically also create your own errors. We're not going to go through that today, but it's a possibility. And it's a very interesting one, in my opinion, so maybe one day or in the project. So how did we do this? Well, in the try statement, like we said, everything that is subject to errors is put. So we could have an error here by adding a non-number object as in the input. We could have an error here by dividing by 0. So we put all this in the try statement. And then obviously we go into the errors. So two different errors that we want to raise. So the first one being, this wasn't a number, so you're going to print that you're going to print that sentence instead of raising the error. And then the 0 division error is going to print the statement, but we're going to use the raise keyword that I just learned about, which is a great way to still showcase the error, but to still make your code work. And this is really practical to share your code, I think, with other programmers, because they will be able to analyze the error even if your code still went through. So it's very practical even for yourself, right? Then the else statement. So else is like kind of like finally, and those two are going to work together. So else is what happens if your code went through with no error. Okay, so if this is okay, then what happens, right? So if this is okay, you can say, for example, we divided like champions. Okay, and then finally is always going to happen. Okay, whatever happens, if you raise an exception, if you raise all the exceptions or none, or if anything happens, finally is gonna happen, whatever. But else might not happen. Okay, so let's try it. Let's go with a 4 divided by 2, and we're gonna get, well, you choose 4 and 2. The result is 2. We divide it like champions. That was nice. Now go to the next exercise. So this happened in order. Okay, just like your errors are going to be raised in order. And so now we can try and add an error to us. So let's try and divide A by something. It's going to say this wasn't a number and go straight to the finally statement. This was nice, just go to the next exercise because apparently you don't know what a number is. Okay, then let's do a division by 0. Brace yourself, and boom, the number you choose. Then you cannot divide by 0, dude, and that was nice. Go to the next exercise. Note that both times the else statement didn't print because, well, there's no need for you to, because the division didn't happen. And this is basically your try and accept statement. Okay, this is everything you need to know for basic understanding of it and to properly use it in your code. But now maybe let's go into why this might not be the best case scenario for some specific things. Oh yeah, I forgot to show you guys, but yeah, the error for the division by 0 appeared. Okay, obviously when we typed A, we didn't make the error appear. Felt so logical to me, but still need to see it, right? So now, when do we use the with statement instead of those try and accept shenanigans? Well, with is usually used for objects that need to be cleaned up after you are done using them, or for temporary variables that you don't want to keep in memory. Okay, so basically you could do that with a variable, a value that you don't need to keep, like just a simple thing that you're working on, like a simple string or a simple list. But mostly it's going to be useful for the use of text files and databases that needs connections, that needs opening and then closing. How does that work? Well, let's import the OS module, and then we're going to open my text file.txt that I created and read it. We're just going to read it, and then what we need to do is close it, obviously, because you don't want that connection to the file to stay in memory, to stay active all the time. Once your file is not useful anymore, you need to close it. And so if I enter this, then we're going to read my file and it goes on all right. The problem is that if I don't close it, nothing shows. Like, I don't know that I didn't close the connection, so it's still there. It's still lingering in my code, and it can accumulate if you're working with a lot of files, a lot of databases or heavy databases and stuff like that. So what do you want to do? Well, oops. Here, what you want to do is maybe use a try and accept statement, okay? How is that going to work? Well, let's say that I want to I want to open my file. So in my try statement, I'm going to put the search for my file, because obviously there could be an error in the file name, for example. And then I'm going to print the lines that we read. And finally, we're going to close. Whatever happens, we always want to close the connection, even if we couldn't print the file, okay? So let's say that you consider this to not be a problem. It's always going to be true. Well, then you could do it this way, okay? Because it's the method file.read that is going to raise an error. And this file not found line is not useful. Well, what you're going to do is just do it, and it's going to work just fine. And then it means you're always going to be closing your file, whatever happens, okay? But obviously, if I chunk this, we're going to have an error. And so that's why what I did earlier is try to do this as a test and put this in there. And you see that just like we've seen before, this file doesn't exist in the directory. So there was no connection, but still my file closed. So this is mainly how you would handle a file before the with statement existed. But now you've got the with statement. So how does that work? Well, it's just very basic. With your file that you open as the variable file, you're going to do something. That's just that. What's going to happen here is that it's going to try and open this. It's going to execute that code here, but the with statement clears up everything, every variable, every connection that you created within it. Meaning that opening a database, opening a file, creating a variable, generating a list with list comprehension, for example, is going to exist just for this with statement and disappear right afterwards. And this is the important bit for it, because technically you don't see a big difference. Like those two lines are maybe more practical, more concise, because the statement is just more recent, but that's the real goal. The real goal is this. It's gonna close the connections, removes and clean up the garbage behind you all the time, whatever happens. It's not gonna handle all errors like a try and except, okay? You could even make them work together, but it's going to be way cleaner for basic interactions with files. So that's what I wanted to go on to today. The various like Stack Overflow posts or other stuff that I use to understand that are going to be in the description, and I'll see you another time. Bye.